Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, guys. This is my new photography and videography channel. It's called Century Effects Studios, and my name is Devin, and we're going to be in the field today, so we're going to get right into it. So today we're going to be in Duke Gardens. Duke Gardens is a wonderful place on the campus of Duke University in North Carolina. And also, first I'd like to introduce the model. Her name is Lilnetha. And she came to me via Model Mayhem. So if you guys need a Model Mayhem or you're trying to find a model, definitely go to Model Mayhem and you can find a model to actually get this done with you. Just be aware of the things that you need to be aware of via online interactions. First thing I want to talk about is my style. The thing that I like to do is actually have the model look at the camera. So I'll take a picture and I'll have the model look at the camera. That means I have to have my exposure right. I have to have a relatively good image for them to look at, so they'll be like, wow, or she'll be like, wow, that's a nice image. This will encourage the model to do more and more because they may not have come in contact with a photographer of your caliber, or may have not seen an image while the image has been taken in their photo shoots.
And actually come closer to me. Come closer to me. Closer. Stop. All right, this is lovely. Step this way a little bit. Stop. Let me get a better vantage point. There's a tree behind you. I don't want that in my shot. All right, step this way a little bit. Stop. There you go.
So doing things in my style, I like to get in touch with the model and not just shoot. You know, I'll give compliments. I'll ask them where they came from, where they're going, and what are their future aspirations. We did get through that a lot, but that might not be presented here in the video as much because I don't have lavaliers and things of that nature. So that's my style, trying to get in touch with the model.
Yes! Oh my gosh! Okay, the hair flip was amazing.
I think this is the best one. All right. So we're done.
Compose the image. Of course, I like to compose the image. I'm a photographer, but more than that, I like to actually see the image before it happens, and that's a lot of things that beginner photographers can't do, or starting off photographers or photographers that are not on the professional level. They can't do that. They can't compose the images as much as they compose things in their eyes. Now, as far as us as humans, we can compose things in our eyes all day because our eyes correct and compensate for things, and we're used to doing things. For example, if I were to go maybe kiss a pretty girl, I'm not going to be far away. Or if I want to go see a pretty girl, I'm not going to be far away or pulling away, because we naturally can use our feet to move to the exact perspective that we want to see. You want to be as close as possible without seeming, annoying, but we always do all these compensations and calculations in our head to see what's comfortable for us, but we never think about that, translating that to our camera, things of that nature. So composition is a lot about what you already instinctively know how to do, but transferring that to your camera. So the rule of thirds does that as well. We use the rule of thirds all the time when we're looking at things in our own minds. When we're looking at more than one person, we can't look at a person straight on and get the other person, so we instinctively use the rule of thirds, or separate our actual our visual images into a place where we can see more than one person at one time, and we typically put them in a flattering sense, as far as where we're standing in our perspective and our distortions. We put them in a flattering sense because that's how we are used to seeing them, and that's how our eyes respond mostly to flattering images.
Nice. That's lovely. Nice.
In these actual videos, I'm actually directing the model based off of my composition and things of that nature. Now, the model is actually a really good model. I don't really have to direct her too much on what she's doing. Maybe I want a little bit more hair flip. Maybe I want a little bit more flare. So I'll direct her there. But the thing about it is, when I'm interacting with the model, I'm actually not necessarily modeling her so much so as I am directing her how the background and how the entire image is supposed to look. She doesn't know how the entire image is supposed to look, but she probably knows how she looks herself because she has so much experience modeling. About the gear. A lot of people in the comments are gonna say, "Oh, well, I have this gear and I have this gear, or Nikon is better than Canon, and this, that, and the other." It's not necessarily about that, even though a lot of times I do get competitive and I like to talk about those types of things. But it's not necessarily about the gear. I talk about the gear, yes, but I also talk about my style. I talk about how I interact with the model. I talk about why I did this interaction and what made her smile and what made her do this pose instead of this pose. I talk about the composition, how the foreground matters as much as the background matters, and that creates the entire image, and what creativity, going out to a certain park at a certain time of day, and things of that nature. So it's not just about the gear. And so going back to time of day, we got out here about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, or something like that. Now, this time in the summer here in America is the golden hour between 6, 7, and a little bit of right before 8. So it just depends on what time of the year, but right around this time it was 6:37, and the sun started to go down, and I got this golden, decadent light that got me this amazing image. Now, this is something that I like to do all the time, but this is a principle of landscape photography. Landscape photography states that you scope out a place for days upon days upon days upon days, finding location that you want to shoot, and then trying to find the best atmospheric conditions to get that image. Now, this was more of a modeling shoot, or a shooting a model. So it was a glamour shoot or a fashion shoot or something like that along those lines. But it also combined landscape photography, conditions, because you also have to think about the light.
Keep going.
And so when you think about photography, you think about light, and
A little
then
bit
the
more, not
landscape
the center.
part
I wish I could have
would
the center, but I
be
can't.
actually
The
coming
trees
out
grew
there.
up a
A
little bit
certain
more.
time of day
That's fine.
invoke a certain type of environment to get that look.
Nice. That is lovely. Lovely. Nice.
As far as the gear, I am a big Canon buff. I like Canon cameras, and I'm not ashamed of it. I actually filmed this with a Panasonic, and I love Panasonic for video. Thanks to Tony Northrup, I definitely love the Panasonic videos. They're cheaper. They can give you 4K. They can give you 1080 at 60, whereas the Canon cameras, the DSLRs, don't really give you that. On the lower end, you really have to shell out a house payment to actually get those features. But I filmed this in 60 frames a second, so if you're not at 60 frames a second at 1080p, you probably should do that. One of the things I don't like about shooting photography with the 6D is that the 6D Mark I, what it does is it only has one cross-type autofocus point. And I didn't think this was much of an issue until I actually went out into the field with it the first time. And it wasn't this time, but I was doing an event, and I was using the 50mm 1.8, and it actually didn't focus on the edges like I like to compose, the rule of thirds, and use the edge, the edge focus points, the ones on the outside, the outermost. And it did not want to focus to save its life. And I thought it was because I was at 1.8, or is that, maybe contrast. But the 7D focuses that way. But the 7D has 17 cross-type focus points, and all, those are all the focus points that it has. So, and even the one in the center is like a tri-type focus point or something crazy like that. But the thing about it is the 7D is a lot cheaper than the 6D, and functionality-wise, it's 10 times better in my opinion. But the 6D has the image quality that I wanted, so I had to focus and recompose with the 6D, which gives you a larger margin of error because you could lose your focus. You could not have the image in focus, and I think some of the images came out a little bit softer than I wanted them to because of that.
Why you take them off right now? I don't know if I want to sit down on this. You about to get baptized.
I like the young Nuo the 560 version 2.
She looked like.
The 560 version 2, the Young Nuo speed light that I was using, it's a great speed light, and it's lasted me for almost 2, maybe 3 years now, and it's like $60, $65 when I got it off Amazon or something like that. But the thing about it is it does not have high speed sync, so the high speed sync is another thing that I'll talk to you guys about later. I do have a flash that has high speed sync, but I didn't have it on me at the time, so I was using that Young Nuo at 1/60th of a second. I think that's the maximum shutter speed for the 6D, and trying to get that shutter speed rule with the 70 to 200, because the shutter speed rule says that if you have a 200 millimeter lens, you want to be shooting at 1/200th of a second or greater to defeat shutter shock or defeat movement in your image, motion blur. So those are some of the things that I was thinking about. If I had high speed sync, I would have been able to maybe darken the background at a higher shutter speed and kept my fill light on my subject, and then I would have been able to get a better colors out of the image in the background, because I was able to underexpose it, because the sun is very harsh, and really what you want to do is underexpose that background, and then expose for the background but underexpose it sometimes, and then expose for the foreground with the flash, or your model with the flash. So those are some of the things I was thinking about gear wise, but other than that, everything else came out pretty good. I was able to get some good images, able to get a great model, and I was able to get out there and go shoot. And that's what guys need to do. Instead of thinking about gear a lot of the times, even though I love talking about gear, you need to go out there, shoot, get a model, get your portfolio up, and do those things. Alright guys, so there's an image at the end here that I added, that we were in some type of a small little cave entrance there, and it had these green long vines coming down it, and it had the sun peering right through the back of it, and it made this gorgeous, nice, delightful, sunny image with greenery all around the model.
No, you're already on track.
So I thought it was a really, really good image, and so I left that here for you guys to see. Also, there will be some images throughout the entire video, but also there are going to be some images that I retouched that are at the end, and some before and afters at the end. So stay tuned for those as well.